Welcome back to the channel World Coins Master everyone to another exciting deep dive into the world of rare and valuable coins. Today, we're exploring the fascinating story of the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny, a small 1-cent coin that's captured the imagination of collectors and treasure hunters around the world. Believe it or not, some versions of this coin have been valued at up to $590 million due to a combination of extraordinary minting errors, mysterious variations, and the unique historical circumstances surrounding their creation. So sit back and get ready as we uncover the secrets, the mistakes, and the possibilities that make the 1941 wheat penny one of the most remarkable coins in American numismatic history. The 1941 Lincoln wheat penny might look like just another old copper coin at first glance. It was minted in large quantities, with millions produced across three major mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Yet, within those millions, rare and unusual specimens emerged. These unique pieces contained minting mistakes, anomalies in design, metal composition errors, and even mysterious doubling effects that made some coins distinct from all others. What makes this coin so special is that it bridges a key period in U.S. history, a time of transition as America was recovering from the Great Depression and preparing to enter World War II. Every penny from that era carries a story of change, innovation, and unexpected human error. The 1941 Lincoln wheat penny features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse side, two stalks of wheat curve gracefully around the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, along with the Latin phrase E pluribus unum. This design was a symbol of resilience and progress during a turbulent time. But not all 1941 pennies came out of the mint perfectly. Some were struck on the wrong planchets, others showed doubling on the date or lettering, and a few displayed unusual mint marks that have puzzled collectors for decades. Let's start with one of the most famous possibilities, the double die error. In some 1941 wheat pennies, collectors have found strong doubling on the obverse side, particularly on the date, the word liberty, and even the inscription "In God We Trust." These double die errors occur when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during its creation, resulting in a doubled image when it hits the metal planchet. When seen under magnification, the details appear doubled, and these coins instantly stand out from regular ones. The rarity of this error makes such coins extremely valuable. Depending on the sharpness and visibility of the doubling, a genuine 1941 double-die Lincoln penny could fetch anywhere from thousands to millions, with exceptional cases estimated in the hundreds of millions if the coin also exhibits other rare anomalies like unique metal composition or mint mark irregularities. Another fascinating aspect of the 1941 penny story is its metal content. Officially, the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny was made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. However, some pennies have been discovered with unusual alloy mixtures, likely due to leftover metal planchets from previous or experimental batches being used unintentionally. For example, some 1941 pennies appear to have been struck on bronze planchets with different color tones or densities, while others have been found on planchets meant for foreign coins. These rare compositions can drastically alter a coin's weight, tone, and magnetic properties, instantly increasing their value among collectors. In some cases, testing has shown a mismatch between the expected weight of 3.11 grams and actual weights that range higher or lower, indicating mistakes in the planchet selection process at the mint. Such specimens, if authenticated, can reach astronomical values, sometimes being appraised at tens or even hundreds of millions because of their unique combination of rarity, history, and curiosity. The mint marks also play a major role in determining the rarity and potential value of 1941 Lincoln pennies. The coins were produced at three mints: Philadelphia, which had no mint mark; Denver, identified by a small d below the date; and San Francisco, marked with an S. While the majority of coins from these mints are relatively common, a few rare examples display unusual mint mark placements, doubling on the mint mark, or even mismatched mint marks, such as a faint overstrike where a D appears over an S or vice versa. These varieties, known as overmint mark errors, occurred when dies were reproposed or altered during production. Because of the rarity of these transitional die errors, collectors prize them immensely, with some known examples selling for more than the cost of luxury homes. When combined with other unusual features such as double dies or off-metal strikes, these coins become nearly priceless. One particularly legendary story involves a rumored batch of 1941 wheat pennies struck on leftover experimental planchets that were being tested for the transition to the wartime steel composition used in 1943. Although the US Mint switched to zinc-coated steel pennies 2 years later, it is believed that a few test pieces or pre-production experiments were conducted earlier. If any 1941 pennies were mistakenly struck on these experimental planchets, they would appear silvery or grayish in color, much lighter in weight, and magnetic. Discovering such a coin would be like finding a lost prototype, a bridge between the copper pennies of the pre-war era and the steel cents of wartime necessity. Numismatic experts suggest that if such a coin were ever authenticated, its value could easily surpass hundreds of millions due to its historical and scientific importance. The striking process itself could also lead to numerous varieties that define the 1941 wheat penny's uniqueness. Coins that were misaligned during striking can show off-center designs, broad strikes, or partial collar errors. For example, a 1941 penny with an off-center strike might display only half of Lincoln's portrait or have the edge of the coin showing an incomplete rim. While most of these misstrikes are minor and common, some extremely misaligned examples where less than half the design is visible can be incredibly valuable. These coins are rare survivors of minting malfunctions that escaped quality control and made it into circulation by accident. A dramatic misstrike combined with other anomalies, such as doubling or mint mark errors, could exponentially increase the coin's value. Then there are the die cracks and cuds that make each coin unique. Over time, dies develop small fractures due to repeated use. When a cracked die strikes a coin, metal can flow into the crack, creating raised lines or lumps on the surface. Collectors often call these die cracks or cuds, depending on their shape and size. A 1941 penny with a large die break that distorts part of Lincoln's face or the lettering on the reverse can become highly sought after, especially if the defect is unusual or artistic in appearance. Some collectors even nickname particularly interesting varieties, such as the cracked skull Lincoln or the broken wheat ears, further increasing their fame and desirability. The 1941 pennies with repunched mint marks, RPMs, are another fascinating category. During the 1940s, mint marks were added to coin dies manually, which sometimes led to imprecise or multiple impressions. If a mint worker punched the mint mark in the wrong position and then corrected it, the result would be a repunched mint mark. Under magnification, collectors can see traces of the earlier impression beneath the correct one. These RPM varieties are particularly collectible, and certain 1941D and 1941RS examples with strong repunching have been graded and authenticated as extremely rare. Prices for high-grade specimens have soared, especially those with distinct doubling or sharp repunching visible even without magnification. Another intriguing aspect of the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny is its condition and grade. The vast majority of pennies from this year circulated heavily, accumulating wear, scratches, and discoloration. However, a few pristine examples have survived in uncirculated or mint state condition. Coins graded as MS67 or higher by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC can sell for tens of thousands, even without major errors. Combine such high preservation with a dramatic mint error, and you have a coin that can reach values approaching hundreds of millions in private sales due to its rarity and near-perfect condition. It's not just the coin itself, but the story, provenance, and condition that make the 1941 penny a true treasure. The historical context also adds to the coin's mystique. In 1941, the United States was on the brink of entering World War II, and resources were being shifted toward military production. The mints were under immense pressure to produce coins efficiently, and any mechanical oversight could lead to mistakes that slipped through unnoticed. These conditions make it entirely plausible that unusual or experimental coins were produced unintentionally. When viewed from this historical perspective, a rare 1941 penny isn't just a coin, it's a physical remnant of an era defined by transition, uncertainty, and ingenuity. Collectors and historians alike often wonder how a coin as small and seemingly ordinary as a penny could ever reach valuations in the hundreds of millions. The truth lies in a combination of factors: rarity, provenance, condition, and human fascination with imperfection. Each mint error tells a story of human fallibility, of moments when the precision of machinery faltered, producing something that should never have existed. Today, we'll be exploring one of the most extraordinary coins in American history, the 1942 Lincoln wheat penny. You might think of it as just another old copper coin, but what if I told you that some versions of this penny are worth up to $570 million because of rare minting errors, variations, and unique historical circumstances that make them unbelievably valuable to collectors and numismatists worldwide? Yes, you heard that right, $570 million for a single penny that most people wouldn't even look at twice. So, stay with me as we uncover the secrets, the minting anomalies, the incredible stories, and the possibilities that make the 1942 wheat penny one of the most remarkable treasures in U.S. coinage history. The 1942 Lincoln wheat penny was struck during one of the most significant periods in American history, right in the middle of World War II. During this time, resources like copper were critical for the war effort, and every material used in coin production had to be carefully managed. This was the beginning of an era when the U.S. Mint began experimenting with different metals for coinage, leading to some of the most unusual and unexpected minting results ever recorded. The 1942 penny, though officially supposed to be made from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, became the subject of fascinating experiments, minting errors, and off-metal strikes that would later astonish the world of collectors. To understand why a 1942 Lincoln wheat penny could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, we have to look into what happened during those minting years. The U.S. Mint was under enormous pressure to conserve copper for the war, as it was needed for bullets, shell casings, and other essential wartime equipment. Although the switch to steel cents officially occurred in 1943, some experimental and test pieces were struck in 1942 with alternative metals. This led to a small number of coins being produced on the wrong planches or using transitional compositions that were not meant for circulation. These coins became anomalies, one-of-a-kind treasures that now command astronomical prices because of their extreme rarity and historical importance. One of the most famous and valuable errors from this period involves 1942 wheat pennies that were accidentally struck on silver dime planches. Because these planches were smaller and thinner, the resulting coins appeared slightly undersized, and many had incomplete designs around the edges. Only a few examples of this error are known to exist, and their combination of rarity, historical significance, and aesthetic appeal make them worth incredible sums of money. Collectors and historians alike have speculated about how these mistakes occurred, with theories ranging from accidental mixing of dime blanks in the penny production line to deliberate test strikes by mint employees curious about metal substitutions. Another fascinating variation is the 1942 penny struck on a brass planchet with unusual coloration or metallurgical impurities. During this era, copper was recycled from various sources, including spent shell casings, electrical wiring, and even industrial scraps. Because of this, some 1942 pennies have unique chemical compositions, resulting in unexpected hues such as golden, reddish, or even greenish tones. These color variations, caused by metal impurities, can significantly increase a coin's desirability and value, especially when combined with strong mint marks or visible strike errors. Mint mark variations are another crucial factor in determining the 1942 Lincoln penny's worth. Coins minted in Philadelphia carry no mint mark, while those from Denver are marked with a small D under the date, and those from San Francisco with an S. The San Francisco issues of 1942 are generally scarcer in higher grades, but it's the unique anomalies and minting mistakes that truly drive their value into the millions. For instance, there are known examples of 1942 S pennies with repunched mint marks, where that S was stamped more than once at slightly different angles, creating a doubled appearance. Similarly, the 1942 D penny has been found with a distinct D over D mint mark, a result of retooling during the die preparation process. These small yet fascinating imperfections can make all the difference between a penny worth a few cents and one valued at millions. Beyond mint mark varieties, there are also 1942 wheat pennies that exhibit dramatic die errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, and broad strikes. The most famous of these is the 1942 double die obverse penny, where parts of the design, especially the date, the word Liberty, and Lincoln's profile, appear duplicated or shadowed due to a misalignment during the die creation process. These double die errors are highly sought after by collectors because they represent tangible evidence of the minting process gone awry. Depending on the severity and clarity of the doubling, these coins can reach astronomical prices, with some collectors willing to pay millions for particularly crisp and dramatic examples. Imagine finding a 1942 penny in your change and noticing the date looks slightly doubled or the mint mark seems thicker than usual. To most people, it might look like simple wear or a trick of the light, but to an expert numismatist, that small anomaly could mean the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and one worth several $1,000,000. The thrill of discovery is part of what makes the 1942 wheat penny so captivating for collectors. Every small detail, whether a die crack, a lamination error, or a clipped planchet, tells a story of the mint's struggles, human oversight, and the fascinating imperfections that turn ordinary coins into priceless artifacts. Let's also talk about transitional errors, one of the most intriguing aspects of 1942 penny production. These occurred when the mint began experimenting with steel planchets that would later be used for 1943 cents. Some experts believe that a few 1942 dated pennies were struck on early experimental steel blanks. These transitional errors are virtually unknown to the general public and are among the most prized coins in the entire Lincoln series. If authenticated, a 1942 steel penny could easily fetch hundreds of millions of dollars because it represents a unique intersection of history, technology, and rarity, essentially a bridge between two vastly different coinage compositions. Another reason why 1942 wheat pennies can be so valuable is their condition and grade. A coin's grade determines how much original detail it retains and how well it has been preserved over time. Coins that have never circulated and remain in mint state condition are exponentially rarer than those that have been used in everyday transactions. For example, a 1942 penny with full mint luster, sharp strike details, and no signs of wear could command an enormous premium. If such a coin also has a rare mint error or unique composition, its value could skyrocket into the tens or even hundreds of millions. Collectors often look for coins certified by grading services like PCGS or NGC, which provide authentication and numerical grading based on the Sheldon scale. A 1942 penny graded MS-68 or higher with an error designation is a trophy coin, an item that major collectors and museums would compete fiercely to acquire. These coins represent not only monetary value but also historical and cultural significance, capturing a snapshot of America's wartime economy and the mint's ingenuity during an era of resource scarcity. In some extraordinary cases, 1942 pennies have been discovered with die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring partial design elements onto the opposing die. When a coin is later struck using those dies, faint outlines of the opposite side's design appear on the coin's surface, creating a fascinating ghost-like effect. Die clash errors are rare enough, but combined with a 1942 date and any mint mark variety, they can become numismatic legends worth unimaginable sums. Now, let's dive into one of the most thrilling aspects of collecting, the possibility of discovering an undiscovered variety. There are countless coins still sitting in old jars, drawers, and inherited collections that may contain unknown die varieties, mint mark anomalies, or transitional errors from 1942. Each year, new discoveries surface that rewrite what experts thought they knew about the Lincoln Cent series. The dream of finding a hidden treasure among ordinary coins keeps collectors searching, hoping that one day they'll uncover a penny that changes numismatic history. Consider the incredible case of other coins that have fetched millions at auction. The 1943 copper penny, for instance, is one of the most famous minting errors in the world, with some examples selling for more than $1 million. If a single penny struck 1 year later on the wrong metal can achieve such fame, imagine what a 1942 transitional error or off-metal strike could command if authenticated and sold today. Experts believe that such a discovery could exceed all previous records, possibly reaching or even surpassing the $570 million mark for a single specimen due to its uniqueness, condition, and historical magnitude. One factor that drives such staggering values is the emotional connection collectors have with the Lincoln Cent. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, this coin became an enduring symbol of American pride and unity. During 1942, when the nation was at war, the Lincoln penny carried even greater emotional weight. It was a symbol of resilience and perseverance. To hold a 1942 penny is to hold a piece of history, a tangible link to the era when every citizen contributed to the